Well, the Wall Street Journal says to brace for wind and electric vehicle bailouts. The government is too invested, they say, to let these companies go bust, and taxpayers will be charged, as usual, for the repair job. Let's bring in Power the Future founder and CEO Daniel Turner. Daniel, it may seem like ancient history, but I remember Solyndra. Back in 2011, it went bust 2 years after the Obama administration sort of backed up with your tax dollars a $535 million loan to Solyndra that went bust. That Solyndra, of course, was a solar energy company. Is the same thing going to happen again, and now with wind companies thrown in?
The same thing absolutely is going to happen, except we're not going to hear about it in the press. And the difference is this roughly $1 trillion Inflation Reduction Act that we found out later is really just a green slush fund. And this money is controlled by one man, John Podesta. Fox News reporters just on Friday broke that Rivian, the EV maker of that weird-looking, useless truck, they've been meeting with John Podesta. And the question is why? Rivian's never turned a profit. Well, if you're John Podesta and you have a slush fund of roughly $1 trillion, and you have the credibility of the Biden administration's green agenda to fight for, you're going to give out money left and right. So we're not going to hear about the Solyndras. We're not going to hear about the failure because they will just get money from the Podesta slush fund and will be told more lies to the American people.
Yeah, but I don't think that slush fund, as big as it is big enough to cover all of the losses from all of the private companies. Ford lost $3.1 billion this year from their EV division. It's pulling another $12 billion in EV expansion because they say they just can't afford it. GM is scrapping their EV goals for the year. So these companies on their own are deciding not to reinvest in EV right now.
They are. But look, you have an election coming in just a little bit more than a year, and the Biden administration has staked its reputation on going green. They've talked about what a benefit it's going to be to the economy. They've talked about the green jobs. None of this has materialized, right? And you just have to go to the grocery store or fill up your car with gas and realize that inflation is still persistently high. This is all the result of the green agenda. And so they're going to have to bail out these companies. They're going to do it secretly because they have to convince the American people their green agenda is working.
That's quite a story. Well, meanwhile, in order to get the energy that electric cars need, they're putting their hopes on wind power because there's not enough oil and gas for this huge expansion of our already overloaded electric grids around the country. But what we're seeing overseas is that the wind power is not paying off. So in Germany, they're ponying up an extra $17 billion from the government for their wind projects. UK wind companies are asking for an increase in the costs of electricity, 70% increase in the UK, and customers are furious because they're paying not only in taxes but also in their bills every month.
And the reason why is because the utilities provide a commodity, and yet the commodity of wind and solar, mainly the sun and the wind, is not able to be regulated. It's not able to be predicted. So you're trying to regulate something. You're trying to create an industry around the commodity that is completely ethereal, and that's never going to change. And that's the important point here. It doesn't matter how much money we spend. You are never going to be able to predict how much wind or sun we're going to get in 5 minutes, let alone in 5 years. And so this problem is persistent, and it's going to get much worse unless we reverse course.
Well, very quickly, the Wall Street Journal suggests that car companies are putting their EV projects on hold because they're looking at the polls. They're looking at Biden's poll numbers sinking, Trump's continue to increase, and that maybe they won't have to continue to fund these unprofitable EV programs. What do you think of that?
And they're listening to consumers because people don't want to buy them. And no matter how powerful government is, you cannot force people to change their purchasing behavior. That's the purpose of the free market, the beauty of the free market. And Joe Biden doesn't believe in the free market. He believes in central government. And we're all feeling the consequences of that.
Daniel Turner, good to see you again, my friend. Thank you for coming in. Appreciate it.